Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're going deep into a world where hidden technology, global power structures, extraterrestrial contact. It's a lot.
Yeah, a lot to unpack and a lot of big questions.
Exactly. We'll be looking at the documentary Above Majestic.
Yeah.
It's got some pretty bold claims about suppressed technology, how it affects global power dynamics, all of that.
Definitely a film that pushes the boundaries.
For sure. And to kind of ground ourselves a bit, we'll also be looking at a Yes Theory YouTube episode. It's about this town in West Virginia. No internet, no cell service. Pretty unique.
A real contrast, right? One source dives into these hidden advancements. The other explores a community choosing to just disconnect.
Okay, so let's unpack this. The documentary starts off by highlighting this radio telescope, the world's largest steerable one. It's in Green Bank, West Virginia. And it's situated in they call it a quiet zone. Basically, certain technologies are restricted there.
Yeah, it's not just your typical cell phone ban either. We're talking microwaves, Wi-Fi routers, even some scientific equipment. It's pretty serious.
Yeah.
And the documentary, well, it suggests this level of restriction. It's hinting at something deeper, like a deliberate effort to hide advanced technologies.
And that's where the Yes Theory episode comes in. They went to Green Bank, experienced life in this technology-free bubble. But here's the thing. They found this community, and they're thriving.
It really makes you think, right? Could disconnecting from all that tech, could it actually be better for us in ways we don't even realize?
Now, the documentary goes even further. It claims that the U.S. government, they've poured trillions of dollars into underground bases, secret projects, possibly involving, like, technologies way beyond what we know.
Billions, huh?
Trillions. They even point to that alleged, disappearance of trillions from the Pentagon budget as, like, evidence.
So that raises the question, if these advanced technologies exist, free energy, things like that, why keep them secret? The documentary's theory, it's all about control. Whoever has these technologies, they have immense power globally.
And they actually name names. They say there's this shadowy cabal or a deep state. They mention groups like the Illuminati, central banking dynasties. The claim is that these groups, they're pulling the strings, manipulating global events through their financial power.
That's a pretty bold claim. And it's important to remember these are just allegations, often lacking, solid evidence.
True. But they do bring up some real events like that LIBOR scandal, banks manipulating interest rates for profit, and there's the whole debate about the Federal Reserve, their role in managing the U.S. dollar.
Yeah, those are definitely real concerns about power, the potential for it to be misused, especially within those financial institutions.
So think about it. What if free energy was real and available? How would that change our lives? What would happen to industries based on fossil fuels? The documentary wants us to really grapple with those questions.
And then they take it even further. The documentary claims that all our nuclear detonations, they've been sending a signal through, get this, the cosmic web, attracting the attention of extraterrestrials.
Okay, now we're getting into some uncharted territory here. They even claim that UFOs have messed with our nukes. They talk about this Captain Robert Salas, his story back in '67. He said UFOs shut down the missiles under his command.
If that's true, and governments have been in contact with extraterrestrials and keeping it a secret, well, what does that mean for, transparency, democracy? How would knowing that change how we see ourselves, our place in the universe?
It's definitely a lot to process. This documentary, it paints this picture of a world shaped by hidden technologies, secret extraterrestrial contact. Things we can only begin to imagine.
And yet, amidst all that, there's a thread of hope. The documentary says that our consciousness, both individual and collective, can be a force for good, for change.
And we're talking about waves of consciousness, almost like reshaping reality itself. It's a radical idea. But it does offer a more optimistic perspective. Maybe we have more power to influence our future than we think, even with all these hidden forces at play.
Yeah, it's definitely an idea that makes you think, about the power of our thoughts and beliefs and all that. But before we get too far into the whole consciousness thing, let's go back to the documentary. They make some other interesting claims, like secret space programs, off-planet colonies.
Okay, now we're really going deep down the rabbit hole. They're saying there's this whole other world out there beyond what we know,
Yeah.
funded by those missing trillions, maybe.
Could be. They even talk about these spacecraft, massive, kilometers long, built in sections. And get this, a lunar operations command, basically a moon base built by, wait for it, the Germans during World War II. And then the Americans took it over.
Like, seriously, it sounds like a sci-fi movie or something.
Right. And they tie this back to JFK, President Kennedy. They say he was assassinated because he was going to reveal all this, the space programs, the UFOs, the whole thing.
So they're saying there's this powerful group willing to do whatever it takes to keep their secrets.
Yeah, that's the idea. And it's not just governments, they say. It's like a network. These influential people operating in the shadows, manipulating, global events for their own gain.
The deep state or cabal, right?
Yeah.
They even suggest some of these people are into like occult rituals and stuff, pretty dark stuff.
It's definitely unsettling, but it's important to remember the documentary doesn't exactly have hard proof for a lot of this. We got to be critical, Some of it might be exaggerated or based on sources that aren't super reliable.
I get it. It's hard not to get drawn in, especially when it's like this idea that energy could be abundant, accessible to everyone.
Yeah, that's a powerful idea. But yeah, we gotta think critically, not just blindly accept everything we hear. Look at the evidence.
Okay, so even if we like take those more extreme claims with a grain of salt, the documentary still makes you think about who really has the power, how they use it, like the whole financial system. They really focus on that. Central banks, the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, their argument is that these systems, they're designed to concentrate wealth and power in the hands of a few. And they say technologies like free energy, they're suppressed because they would, disrupt the whole system.
And it's not just technology, it's information too. They say those in power, they're using advanced tech to control what we see, what we believe, to silence anyone who disagrees.
Even going as far as saying that, the education system is designed to limit our understanding of reality. It's a bold statement. It makes you question everything.
Definitely makes you think. And then they bring up QAnon. They see it as like evidence of this secret battle for control playing out behind the scenes.
Now, QAnon, that's a whole other rabbit hole. And, we got to be careful with that one. A lot of their claims haven't been proven, and a lot of experts say it's misinformation. That can be really harmful. It's important to separate fact from fiction.
Right, right. So how do we make sense of all of this? The documentary, it's a wild ride. It's like, on one hand, it's this dark picture of a world controlled by these hidden forces. But then on the other hand, it says we have the power to change things.
It's a real paradox. We're confronted with these disturbing claims about power, about hidden tech. But then there's also this possibility that we have the power to overcome it all.
They say, like, by raising our awareness, focusing on love, connection, working together to expose the truth, that we can create a better future. They even talk about these waves of consciousness that can actually reshape reality.
It's a big idea, for sure. But it does give you hope. It makes you think maybe our thoughts, our beliefs, they really do matter. Maybe they have more power than we realize.
Before we get, like, too lost in the whole, conspiracy theory, hidden agenda thing, let's come back to that Yes Theory episode. It's kind of a nice contrast to all the intensity of the documentary.
Yeah, it's a good point. Their trip to Green Bank, it gives us a different perspective on technology. They found this community, and they're doing great without all the constant digital stimulation.
It makes you think, if those folks can thrive without all that tech, what does that say about us? Are we using technology or is it using us?
It all comes back to choice, right? Whether it's disconnecting from tech, finding different information sources, or taking action to change things. Both the documentary and the Yes Theory episode, they both emphasize that. Being aware of the choices we make and how they affect us and the world around us.
It's like they're saying, hey, wake up. Don't just go through life on autopilot. Engage with the world. Make conscious choices.
Exactly. We've covered a lot in this deep dive, some pretty mind-blowing stuff. Secret space programs, suppressed tech, extraterrestrial contact, the power of consciousness.
It's a lot. We've explored claims that are, well, some are pretty out there, and we've encountered questions that might not have, easy answers.
True. But I think throughout this whole exploration, hopefully we've sparked some curiosity, a desire to learn more. And maybe even a little bit of hope that we can create a future that we can all be proud of.
Okay, so out of all of this, what stands out to you as the most important things to take away from this whole deep dive?
I think the biggest one is don't believe everything you hear. You got to be critical, especially with information about, hidden tech, government conspiracies, aliens. Check your sources, consider different points of view, come to your own conclusions.
Exactly. Even if you don't agree with everything in the documentary, the process of Thinking critically, questioning things, learning more, that's valuable no matter what.
For sure. And beyond that, I think the documentary really highlights that, individual action matters, collective action matters, speaking out against injustice, supporting good causes, even just making conscious choices in your daily life. It all makes a difference.
Yeah, even if the world isn't, controlled by some evil cabal, the documentary reminds us that power exists, and we need to be aware of how that power affects us.
It's a call to be informed, to be engaged, to use our voices, our actions to make the world a better place, a more just, equitable, sustainable world for everyone.
And that Yes Theory episode, it reminds us that sometimes disconnecting, getting back to nature, just being present in the moment, that's important too.
It's a good reminder that we have choices. And sometimes choosing simplicity, connection, authenticity, that's the most radical thing you can do.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot of like the darker aspects of the documentary's claims,
Yeah.
but let's switch gears a bit. What about the more positive side? The idea that our consciousness, individually and collectively, can actually create positive change.
Yeah, that's a key part of their message. They're saying that by becoming more aware, focusing on love and connection, working together to expose the truth, that we can overcome all the negative stuff they talk about, create a better future for everyone.
They even talk about like these waves of consciousness that can like literally reshape reality. It's a it's a pretty wild concept,
Mm.
but it's also kind of hopeful, right?
Yeah, it is. And it resonates with a lot of people who are looking for a sense of, empowerment, agency in a world that often feels chaotic and out of control.
They also talk a lot about the importance of, learning, questioning things, not just blindly accepting what you're told. Do your own research, come to your own conclusions.
That's good advice, no matter what you believe. Thinking critically, being a little skeptical, those are important skills, especially these days.
And even if you don't buy into the whole deep state thing, the documentary still makes you think about power, how it works, how it can affect our lives.
It's a call to be aware, to pay attention, to think about how we can contribute to making a better world.
They even give some practical advice, like organizing, demanding that governments release suppressed technologies, supporting alternative media.
Yeah, they want people to take action, not just sit back and watch, but actually get involved, make a difference.
And, going back to the Yes Theory episode, it's like, even in this world that feels so crazy and unpredictable, there are still places where people are choosing a different path. Disconnecting, connecting with nature, building community.
It's a good reminder that we have choices, and sometimes the simplest things, being present, connecting with others, appreciating beauty, those things can be incredibly powerful.
It really makes you think, about all the choices we make and how they like shape our reality.
Definitely. It's like, what kind of world do we want to live in? What kind of world are we creating with each choice?
One thing I kept thinking about with that Yes Theory episode was like how much they were enjoying themselves in Green Bank. No phones, no internet, not even a microwave, but they were like fully embracing it, connecting with people, exploring the town, even like jamming with some local musicians.
It's funny, right? They went there for the science to understand the whole quiet zone thing. But what they found was something way deeper, that sense of community, connection. You don't always get that in our always online world.
It makes you wonder if they can thrive without all that, what does that say about us? Are we in control of technology or is it like controlling us?
It goes back to that idea of being conscious, making intentional choices, whether it's about technology or information or taking action to change things. Both the documentary and that Yes Theory episode, they're both saying the same thing. Be aware. Make choices that matter.
Like a wake-up call, right?
Exactly. It's like, hey, snap out of it. Engage with the world. Don't just go through the motions.
So we've covered a lot. Secret space programs, suppressed tech, aliens, consciousness. It's been a wild ride.
It has. We've explored some pretty intense ideas, some, pretty disturbing claims, and some big questions that maybe don't have easy answers.
But hopefully along the way, we've sparked some curiosity, a desire to learn more, and maybe even a bit of hope that we can build a better future.
I hope so.
So as we wrap up, what's one final thought you want to leave our listeners with?
Yeah.
Something to really chew on.
Okay, here's something. What if reality is more flexible than we think, more malleable? What if we have more power to shape it than we realize? What could we accomplish if we really dared to dream big, challenge our assumptions, work together to build something better?
That's a great question. And to all our listeners out there, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you? What questions are you still thinking about? Hit us up on our website, on social media. Let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.